Up and running. Looks like we're up and running. Good morning, guys. Printing, KP printing. Gonna print and watch at the same time. I'm not responsible for mistakes. Okay, let's have a wake up stream today. The other day I was tired. I was tired, but let's have a go here. Okay, something different on the bench this morning. The work that's in progress is doing the color separations for the little boys, and we have to postpone, or what's the word? Put that work aside today because something more critical came up. I received the color blocks back for the number 11. I'm trying to think what's going on here. The number 11 print in this year's series. It has two key blocks. And we're going to do this morning the color separation work on this, which is mostly going to be transferring Jed's Photoshop data. And here's a sheet of paper with the two key blocks, one of which is black and one of which is red, printed on it. And we're going to use this information plus Jed's Photoshop data and lots of this is going to be confusing. How much to try and explain, how much to just do it while you watch, I'm really not sure. There are going to be 8 color blocks. So I've prepared 8 of these sheets. But having said that, they're going to be treated differently. 6 of these sheets, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, have no Gampi. What I've done is I've used the registration marks and I've printed carefully over on the 2 blocks, the black and the red, but there's no Gampi here. We'll see in a minute. The other 2, I put Gampi paper on first before I printed them. So these 2 are going to be more traditional type. You'll see me do it here today. I will color in the areas that we want on the Gampi and we will paste it down and go ahead. Now, why are they different? These 2, it turns out that all the information I need to decide where the color blocks will be is on the key block. So I'm just simply going to color in the areas I want to keep based on the data I see. Usually in a traditional situation, the key block holds all the information for all the color zones. This one, it doesn't. I don't know can you figure out what's going on here and where we are? I don't want to show you the completed print. It's a mountain stream. There's rocks and there's going to be water flowing and moss and all kinds of stuff and maple leaves hanging over the edge. And a lot of it, the shape of the rocks and the shape of the water, is not defined by the key block. So the background block is, I can color that here. And for these 6, here's what we are going to do. I have 6 printouts taken directly from the different layers of Jed's Photoshop file. He's worked out a possible way that these colors will go. He's worked them out in Photoshop, and you can see the kind of thing that's happening here. There are textures and shapes in the water, there are rocks, there are spaces where the leaves are not. In the early days doing this with Jed, what I would do is I would take these and I simply pasted them down on the wood and we carved them. And it was a disaster because his lines from his Photoshop file would never match up with the lines from our carved key block. Once you've carved a key block, you have to work to that carving, not to some mythical original Photoshop's data. So here we go. Let's grab one of these. You can see what we're doing here then. This gives me the location of the lines. I am now going to take this thing rip it free from its backing. Good morning, guys. Good morning, guys. How many impressions? It's going to be 10 blocks. How many impressions? I don't know. We're going to be doing gradation on top of gradation on top of gradation. This is where I really should have built myself a light table. Hunting, I should have built myself a light table. Now, it's going to be really hard to explain this next part, I'm sorry. Why are we doing it this way? I don't know, why not just print out Jed's info? When Jed does the color things inside Photoshop, and the way we do it ourselves, how can I explain this? Okay, traditional method. We carve key lines. Imagine they're kind of fat. We carve key block lines that are all fat. We transfer them to the color blocks. And when we're carving color blocks, we will carve in the middle of that fat key line. So the color block comes partway hidden under the key line, and it doesn't come past the key line. So our color blocks are carved to the shape of the finished key line. Jed, in his Photoshop system, does the key or something first. And then to do his colors, he clicks and fills. He goes click, and it fills an area. And when you click and fill, it doesn't come halfway through the key line. It just comes up to the edge of the key line. So if we carved a color block that matched a printout from his Photoshop file, all of those color blocks would be too small. They would have little spaces and little areas. So he and I worked on this for a long, long time. And he said, okay, I know what to do. I can just click the area and tell it to expand 2 pixels. So he does that. He clicks it and expands 2 pixels. And some places expand more. Some places where there's a corner, get a thing filled in. It's even worse. So we're really, really, really in a conundrum with here. We're really in a conundrum here. We need his data. I can't trace all this from hand, all this little drawing of water and stuff. So we need his Photoshop file, but his Photoshop file is not right for what we need for carving. So we found a bastardized method of doing this. We carve our key block first, as you've seen. We print the key block onto this yellow paper. And I now take this thing and I put it as close as I can get it to the area where it matches those lines. But as I told you, remember, his color lines, we're not using the expanding method here. His color areas are all too short. They're all too shy. And what we'll do next, after I've pasted this down, I'm going to go back to the key block and I'm going to print the key block again on this so that that's visible on the Gumpi. And that gets pasted down and away we go. It's really, really a scramble. The ideal situation not to do this is for us to print the key block. Jed takes the color separations, Jed takes these, and he just draws his colors on top of it. But that's not the kind of skill set that's in place here. So I'm sorry, this is confusing. I'm sorry, it's confusing. Doing things in a modern way is cool, doing things in a traditional way is cool, but trying to do this blend of the two sometimes is just. Okay. That, I think, is as close as we're going to get it. I forgot to bring the blocks. Hang on a second. Let me go and get the blocks here. Yoisho. Yoisho. Okay, I've been ignoring you guys. Sorry about that. Lots of conversation. I'm sorry. I know, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I know somebody says, what's the plan for today? I'm going to keep doing this. I know this is going to be most of the work today. There is a show and tell at the end of the stream here today, and it's really interesting. It's totally, absolutely different from any of the show and tells we've been doing here. It's not about woodblock prints, but it is good fun. It's good fun. Yeah, you've got it here. So Jed does the key lines with a brush, and again, he's doing it at a different scale. So he brings us, and he does it large, brings it into Photoshop, scans it, and there you have it. And then he tries his color separations on top of that. So really, in the classic ukiyo-e that Jed does for us, the Mario Kart and stuff like that, we don't use his Photoshop layers at all. We look at them to get information, but we don't use them because we've carved a perfect key line that's got all the ukiyo-e lines on it. And then we do our color separations. You've seen them in the normal way by coloring on the tracings. But now that we've gone to this Shinhanga thing, most of the information of each color block doesn't relate to the key blocks. And this is a huge problem for us. A huge problem for us. And wherever people are suggesting, okay, clone the key lines, shrink them down, fill the color in, just all these details inside that leaf, outside the other leaf, positive here, negative here, we haven't found a way to make it work. So this is the best compromise, and it works. In all the prints for the past few months, we've been doing it this way. Print the key lines first on stiff paper. Bring in the Photoshop thing, try and get it to line up. But some of these color areas now are too shy. They're not gone as far as they're going, as they should go. But if I now print this, again, that puts our real key right on top of it, good and strong, and Kawasaki-san the carver knows what to do. Who stole my water bottle? Don't nobody leave this room. Who stole my water bottle? Come on, guys. Oh, there it is. It went down. I don't know Mateus, I know of him. I've seen the ukiyo-e project that's been published here recently. 50,000 yen each, give me a break. It's the same thing, it's another group of people who are trying to do modern ukiyo-e. Really cool, nice idea, great, nothing wrong with it. But they've gone the opposite way. They have tried to take ukiyo-e out of the plebeian situation it was in, and they've tried to move it up into high art. So they're charging hugely high prices for the prints, making them limited editions, totally inaccessible to normal people. That's fine, that's the way they want to do it. They can, whatever, nothing to do with me, but it means the prints they make are just a blip. They make them and disappear, and there's no steady work for the craftsman. Okay, now, what we've done now, because we've printed that key again on top of this, you can see what's happened. It now looks like a normal ukiyo-e print. We can see the key line here, how close I can get. I've done part of it, the black. We're going to do the red in a minute. We can see the key line, so Kawasaki-san the carver will follow that line, and the gray thing that Jed's given her will just be the guide to where generally the thing should fall. But she will follow the black lines for her cutting. Oh, Dave, I forgot the red pigment. Sorry, just a minute. I brought the black, I forgot the red. Excuse me a second. Back to the party room again. Still sitting there, the party room. Yoisho. Yoisho. It's 200 people watching me do nothing yet. Okay, sorry. Let's get this thing up and rolling. It's not disorganized, it's just a little bit, picky work, bit of this, bit of that, bit of this, bit of that. It's not the kind of work that really does suit itself well to streaming, The carving, when we're busy with the carving, that's fine, but I can't help it. The job here involves lots and lots and lots of these picky, small, detailed, do this, do that work. Here we go. Okay. Very so. Okay, that's ready now for pasting down. Before we do, the consistency of New England clam chowder. Okay, I don't know about that. So. And we can see many, many places now where Jed's color block here in this case is short. Many, many places where it's short. So I can help her out by filling in some of these now before I paste it down. If we didn't do this, if we just copied his Photoshop straight onto the wood, the prints will be full. They'd be full of all these little tiny areas that don't line up. Okay. I think we're good to go. Let's get a piece of wood. Let's get a piece of wood, and down she goes. I'm missing so much of this. I'm sorry, excuse me, I'm missing so much of this. Are you working with Jed to help him improve? I don't know, improve is the wrong word. It makes it sound like he's no good at this. And it's just simply, the problem here is an artifact of the way that we do this, designing in Photoshop with a key line plus color situation. I don't see how he could improve and help it. As I said, if we gave Jed these and he would color each one, draw the water and then draw the rocks, it's just not possible because he's building the print. He doesn't draw the print, he constructs it layer by layer by layer in Photoshop. And the problem comes because we're trying to use the key line method here. If we didn't have a key line, none of this would make any difference. We could print his Photoshop layers and they would just come as they are, overlapping as they are, spaces as they are. The problem comes just because we're trying to do it both ways. Anyway, we get him done, but boy, oh boy, oh boy. Okay, enough talk. Let's get this pasted down. Do we only train Japanese people? We don't really train anybody here at the moment. This isn't a school. This is an actual working workshop. We hire printers of two types. We hire printers who are experienced, long-term, doing it for years printers. Maybe half of our printers, I guess, are that type. And then at the other end of the scale, we hire people to work for us who have some experience, who have tried this, who have got a little bit better at it, and who can do some competent work at a, at a lower level. We take them on as printers to do that kind of work, and then as they are here doing that, they build up their skills bit by bit by bit. But we have no facilities for training anybody. We can't take anybody on from zero to train them how to do this. Was the key line necessary? You know, it's a question of style. What kind of style prints do you want to make? Do you want prints with that black outline around them? For the most part, we are trying to work in a style where those black lines exist. We're saying, can I do the key lines last? Even if we printed them last, it doesn't help if the color blocks are wrong, you know. Oh my God, comments. Oh. The people experience, are they always Japanese? All the people working for us here live in Japan. I know we don't hire overseas people to live and work overseas. We're, you know, our employees are normal Japanese people living here in Japan. So I don't have any facility for hiring somebody who is not experienced and going through the process of trying to help them get a visa. It's just no way. It's totally, completely beyond our capabilities here. So again, we don't train. We don't train, I'm sorry. We just can't do it. Where's my glue? Okay, we're going to paste this down. Again, this is the really thin Gumpy. This is the 3mm Gumpy, so get yourself excited about peeling or not. It's up to you, but this is extremely thin Gumpy paper today. What's happened, I've got myself into a bit of a jam, you know. We've been doing this thing with the peeling and peel it off in one piece, and Dave gets a 9 out of 10 ranking and stuff like this. But because of that, each time I do this, when I go to my Gumpy roll, it's over there. Last time I went to Ozuwashi, I bought 5 sheets of the 3mm and 5 sheets of the 5mm. And of course, showing off here on this peel and peel and peel, I've been using the 5mm. And we know where this story is going. I'm now almost out of it. So I'm now down to the stack of 3, and before I can buy any more, I have to use this up. So this is extremely thin Gumpy paper. Some rationalization going. I'm explaining what's happening. Make excuses before the job. Whatever. It's, like I said, it's up to you. You can hold your breath or not. But here we go. Okay. I worked with guitars, yes. I used to be an amateur classical guitar player, and I built guitars. It was basically an amateur outfit. I built 5 of them. First one for myself, just for fun. Numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5, I sold them. They were classical guitars, nothing electric, no pickups, nothing like that. And they're out there somewhere in the world. There's 4 guitars out there. And inside the body, there's a label that says Dave Bull Luthier. It would be Ladner. Oh no, Delta. It would say Delta BC or something like that. And that would be what would be the date on those things? 1972, maybe? Something like that. Okay, this sheet comes off. Now this was just to carry. All the information went onto the Gumpy. The printout of the Photoshop data and the print of the key lines. Actually, that's really, really wet. Hang on a second here. No, not millimeters, exactly, of course, I'm sorry. It was 3 and 5, the numbers I was throwing out were the Japanese traditional momme numbers, Oh, this is too wet. I am going to leave this aside. If I try and pull this now, it'll distort. Wet, wet, wet. Okay, rather now than do the same thing all these number of times, I'm going to change gears just a little bit. I told you that there was 2 styles of these, that 6 of them got the gumpy laid on top, and 2 of them are not. 2 of them are trace types. So let's take one of those and let's do it with our marker in the classical style. We have the key block here, and we now need to make a color block. And the color block we want is for everything. What do we want here? It's for everything that isn't the overhanging maple leaves. But if I use bright orange, it's going to interfere with those red lines. So I am going to use yellow. You know, despite the criticism here about yellow, I'm going to use yellow. Again, the same question, would you accept an intern volunteer to learn for us but not be paid anything, not needing a visa? Again, I'm sorry to be negative. I know if you send us an email, send me an email later on to the info@mokuhankan.com. We have a full letter explaining how we handle these situations. Send us a letter and I'll write back to you. I can't do that. Simply, nobody can do this. I can't spend the time to sit there and work with you. Here's your desk. Here's a brush. Here's what you do. Here's what you cut. If you've never made prints before, you need direction at every single step, and we just simply don't have the time to sit there and work with you. You've got to make prints yourself first before you even talk to us. John Amos came last year, and he worked for a month upstairs, and the reason I said yes is because he knew what he was doing already. He's already worked really hard to get some skill at this, and for him the advantage is seeing how the pros work. The pros here didn't have to sit here and teach him. I'm sorry, I can't. Let me get this done here, okay? We are a working workshop, and we can't. It's not a school. Now part of this is easy, just going around the outside where these leaves hang over. But having said that, there's lots of areas in the middle here, there are gaps, and we're looking through to the distance. And the distance should also be on this block. This is going to be an overtone for darkening the entire valley except for the overhanging leaves. Trucks, that's the Oshibori. You can see it. There you go, bingo, right at the back. The lettering on the back of the truck. The lettering in the parenthesis is Kabu, stock. It means Kabushiki Gaisha. And it's Otaki. And it says Kashi Oshibori, rental Oshibori. The Oshibori. The hot cloths that you get when you go into a restaurant or a bar. Let me turn off the outside mic. Tom's asking why the yellow marker, because if I use red, the lines are red, and if I go over a little bit, it's going to be really confusing. So I know, I get what you said, I should use the red because it's better for her sight, but in this case the lines are red, so that is noisy. What's the noise? What's the motor? The truck engine? the conversation about the apprentices and stuff, you know. You're not good enough. Worried that the more time passes, the less chance I have. Then just I don't know how else I can explain this. It sounds crazy for me to say, we won't talk to you unless you have already made prints. Go ahead and make some prints and then come and talk to me. It sounds a bit crazy. What's the point? If you're not going to talk to me until I already know how to make prints, I wouldn't need you. And that's my point. You don't need me. Anybody doing this work at any level, a beginner, intermediate, or pro, is faced every day with problem solving. That didn't work. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Okay, maybe it'll work like this. Even the pros, even Dave here, does this every day. So you've got to be the kind of person that can figure things out. So at the beginning also, don't wait for us to tell you what to do. Sit here, put this here, start here. If you're that kind of person, you're not going to be any good at this once you get going. So it's got to be self-exploration. There's a ton of information on the internet now. The materials how to do it are cheap and plentiful for a beginner. Just do some exploration. Make terrible prints, but have fun exploring it. And you'll see bit by bit that you can figure this out by yourself. And then if it turns out that you're one of these people who really catches on fire and, oh my God, look at this person and I want to use them in our workshop, then we will open our arms and in you come. The same as we did this year with John Amos. Karen, the same thing. She came here last year. And as soon as I saw her work, I said, get over here. But she had to have the work first. Crazy, just to deliver. Nanda. I see. So he was waiting in line. So God, one after the other. These are the regulars of the show. The Oshibori comes what, once a week, twice a week? I don't remember. Okay, Karen's back. She can maybe explain about some of this. You know, when Karen asked to be able to come here last year, I said yes. But you're suggesting you're to come here, and I'm saying no. You know, you've got to make some prints first. And I don't remember the conversation with Karen a year ago. I don't remember. Yeah, it's sort of, to take an intern, the intern needs to be 90% there already. I don't know about 90%. I don't know about the percentage. But yes, we can't take beginners. You've got to show some competence at this, and more than competence, you've got to show that you really are interested after having tried it, failing, ooh, maybe that's okay, and still have an interest. Then we can talk to you. Is there a place for me to show you my prints? It's called the internet. Send us an email. Summer Street on NHK World today Really? So there's a, what do you call it? A Saihoso, what's the word? When they show something a year after it was originally shown. Not a review. Replay? The Summer Street program we did was a couple of years back. So they're showing it again. Soka. I got to be careful what I say about that one because I myself don't think it was. I don't like that program so much, actually. Whatever. So. NHK really has been so good to us over the years. NHK is just so good, so good, so good. There's a few media companies in Japan that have been almost personally, single-handedly responsible for helping us get to where we are. NHK is one of them. The Yomiuri newspaper is another one. These are the right-wing conservative kind of media organizations. When there's a foreigner doing Japanese arts, that pushes their buttons, and they're happy to show and expose the work. The other thing about NHK too is, man, they are professionals. And when we're on a local TV show or something, almost always, the way it turns out is the company sends over a few kids. They give a few kids a camera and say, go over there to the Mokohankan workshop, whatever, and go ahead and film them, whatever. And the kids with the camera do their thing. But NHK doesn't do it that way. NHK sends solid professionals each and every time, and the result is just always so much better. NHK is not right wing. NHK is a steady, stable, conservative show. It's whatever. It's a Japanese government organization that shows the official line about what Japan is and what Japan does. So when I said right wing, I simply meant it's a conservatively oriented news media. The news they show is news. When something happens in the news, they show what's happened. But when they choose to do feature programming, they will do things like, as I said, when a foreigner comes and wants to study Japanese culture, they grab this right away. Because showing the Japanese people and showing foreign people, look at this, Japanese culture is so good that foreigners like to come and study it. It's part of their, it's built into their DNA. I'm not saying this in any sort of cynical or awful viewpoint, just simply that's the way it is. That's their modus operandi. And they have really helped me so much over the years. Really, really helped me so much. There's Vivid KP. I did this, then I just made prints. Try it, fail, try it, fail, try it, fail a little bit less. How's the time? What's the time? No problem, no problem. Okay, let's get this pasted down. Let's put it on the back of that other block. Oh no, that's not so smooth. Here we go. Why did I circle those? Because it's difficult to explain. What we want is, this is going to be the block. You can see the deal. The maple leaves overhang the scene. The scene in the middle is rocks and moss and a water cascading down the mountain. And there are various maple leaves sitting in the middle here on the water, on the moss and stuff like that. As the final stage of the process of printing this, we are going to darken with a gradation down and from the sides. We're going to darken the valley. but we want the outside maple leaves to be out still in the sunlight and everything else darkening. So the maple leaves stay in the sunlight, everything behind the maple leaves gets darker, darker, darker. We want 2 of those maple leaves to be sitting as though they were in shafts of light, not darkened. So those 2 maple leaves are not going to be included in this dark, dark, dark shadow block. And I've got no way to communicate that to her. When I send her this tonight, I'm going to phone her up, I'll chat with her. She's already got the master image, and I'll tell her, by the way, check out, before you start carving that block, I've circled 2 of the maple leaves, make sure they come off that block. There's no easy way to communicate that information to her. If I had just left them, she wouldn't have even have noticed them. She would have just gone right through. Do we have to plane down our blocks or our uneven work? I don't know. We're making new prints here, so we're working with new wood for the most part, and the wood has been prepared and planed nicely flat. So in the case of our own new blocks, warped wood is not a factor. We're making our own plywood here. We have started with thin sheets of wood which do warp and twist and whatever, and we glue them down strongly onto a core. So there's no warping on our own blocks that we make. When we work with older blocks, yes, of course. Oh boy, I'm missing most of this. I'm sorry again, you know. I have fun reading this at lunchtime afterwards, but I'm sorry to miss it as we're going in, you know. How does subscriptions work? Do I have to be quick and get in when they first come out, or can I sign up anytime? Our subscriptions, the current year, at the moment, is sold out. It's full up. And we will be making more of the current set next year. So if it's the current year's subscription you're interested in, at the moment we can't help you because we're sort of full up and on pause. But we will be printing more of that series, even including the one I'm doing right now. We will be printing another batch of 200 or so next year. So the current series, you will be able to get it next year. If it's not the current series you're looking at, if it's a back issue series, they are always available all the time. Our printers print and reprint and print and reprint as we need to keep them in stock. When you start any given series, you start with print number 1 in that series and go for 12 months until you get print number 12 in that series. So you're getting it at a later timetable than the original subscribers, but you get it. In November and December, we will be opening up for the 2020 series. We'll be opening up subscriptions, and our history has been that it will sell out within a few weeks or days, no idea what's going to happen. And for that, for the 2020 series, people will be getting it as they're made. They will get the first one in January, next one in February, next one in March. And for those who miss subscribing to it, they will have to wait a year until it becomes open again as a back issue subscription series. Whoa, I'm getting red warning light here. Hang on a sec. I'm getting a red warning light. Hang on. What do we do here? Red, orange, red, orange. Video is stuttering. I'm stuttering too. Hang on a sec. What do we do here? One moment, please. Let me check my activity monitor. Did a backup kick in or something? Hang on a sec. One moment, please. The backups are all set not to disturb during stream time. OBS CPU 329%, a kernel task. Something else is interfering. What have we got? Is it Spotlight indexing? No, don't think so. Hang on a sec, where are we streaming? Which server pickup are we? We're at the local server here in Japan. Go to preset, standard. Nothing should be pushing this, but we're clearly running. No, I'm on power, full charge, and the power adapter is still in. Apps using significant energy is OBS, as expected, with 3 cameras. Now something in the background on the OS has kicked in. There's another kernel task running, and it's generic. I have no idea what it is. Come on, crap. We've got a nice show and tell today. No, it doesn't let me change the server. Okay, gang, let's try a couple of things. I think I'm going to have to shut the stream for a minute. With the stream turned off, I might do just a quick restart. I restarted before starting the stream anyway. I'll do a quick restart, okay? So excuse me, I'm going to have to sign off. It's 8:55. Give me 3, 4, 5 minutes and I'll be back after restarting the computer. Basically, we can't continue like it is right now. My apologies about this. Make sure somebody doesn't kill the street camera. I don't think that's the burden. Something else in the system is pushing us, not just the OBS. I'm going to restart. Back in 3, 4, 5 minutes.